The Chinese Communist Party elected a new general secretary. Standing 5 feet 11, he was taller than any Chinese leader in nearly 4 decades. His demeanor, too, was unlike any leader in Chinese history. Not your typical leader that people in China had gotten used to. You see, before Xi, most Chinese leaders projected themselves as strongmen, distant and remote from the masses. Xi Jinping was different. He seemed like a man of the people, a son of the soil, confident and self-aware, yet relaxed and approachable. The Chinese media portrayed him as a family man, a caring son, a doting father, and a loyal husband. They talked about his pleasant smile, also about his glamorous wife, Peng Liyuan, a renowned singer nurtured by the People's Liberation Army, famous for her revolutionary folk songs. Everything about Xi Jinping inspired lavish media coverage. Where he went, what he ate, whom he met, his life became a constant preoccupation of the Chinese state media. They called him a man of compassion, someone who would bring a fresh breeze into Chinese politics. That's the term they used, fresh breeze. They talked about his interest in sports, his fondness for American films like The Godfather, and of course, his love for his country, but very little about how he was rapidly concentrating power within the Communist Party. So it came as no surprise that the very next year, at the 12th National People's Congress, Xi Jinping was elected president of China. He received 2,952 votes for one. There was only a single no vote. Who was this courageous dissenter? Well, no one knows, but if we go by Chinese state media accounts, it was Xi Jinping himself. He apparently cast the no vote as a sign of humility, or perhaps to portray a semblance of democracy within the party. Once he assumed power, a cult of personality sprung around him. His followers wrote love songs about him, odes, academic papers, cartoons. They even made action figures of Xi. The president's spin doctors talked about how he was destined to rule. Stories of his upbringing flooded newspapers and social media, and you must know about them. They're fascinating to say the least. You see, Xi Jinping is what the Chinese call a princeling, the child of a senior Communist Party official. He is the son of Shi Zongshun, one of the many founding fathers of the Communist Party of China and a trusted colleague at one point of Mao Zedong. When Xi Jinping was 5, his father was made the vice premier of China. Naturally, his son was treated as royalty, a princeling. He was admitted to an Ivy League school, a school nicknamed the Cradle of Leaders. The students here formed a close-knit elite circle. They compared one another on the basis of their father's rank. Whoever's father had the highest position was respected the most. But Xi Jinping's stay here was short-lived because his family's fortunes took a dramatic turn. In 1962, shortly after his 9th birthday, Xi's father was accused of supporting a novel that Mao opposed. He was charged with treason and put behind bars. In the years that followed, a paranoid Mao imprisoned most elite leaders. He accused them of misusing the party's wealth. Naturally, Xi Jinping's family was also humiliated. His father's status made the family undesirable. His mother, Qi Xin, was assigned to hard labor at a farm. The children were forced to denounce their father. They were sent to the countryside to be re-educated, to suffer deprivation and abuse. Xi Jinping's half-sister, older half-sister, hanged herself. This apparently came as a turning point in his life. It was at this moment that Xi Jinping was reportedly reborn. He drew blunt lessons from his father's adversity, and he decided to restore his family name, not through revenge, but loyalty. Xi Jinping did not turn against the Communist Party that ruined his family. He embraced it. He rose through the ranks and is now at the helm of not just the party, but also the country it rules. Like I said, it's a fascinating story, although there's reason to be skeptical, given how strongmen are a bit too careful about what the public gets to know about their past. So we must take these tales with a pinch of salt, because at the end of the day, we're talking about someone who in essence rules like a dictator. He sits atop a pyramid of 87 million members of the Communist Party, a party that is larger than the population of Germany. It governs 1.4 billion people that account for 18.47% of the global population. I mean, how tough could it be for this party to alter the life story of one man? And for what? to make him subject others to the same adversity that he experienced. Today, China sends children of exiled Uyghurs to orphanages. In Hong Kong, it is jailing pro-democracy protesters as young as 17. In Tibet, it's a crime to even talk about the value of mother tongue. And across the country, China plans to introduce a law that would punish parents for their children's deeds. And not just family affairs, Xi Jinping wants to control every aspect of Chinese life. He has a deep-rooted intolerance for anything that diverges from the official party line. In his own words, he does not like people who worship the Buddha, or seek God's advice for solving their problems, or yearn for Western social systems, or lose their confidence in the future of socialism, or make provocations towards the CCP leadership. He's a true believer, but only in the Communist Party of China. The question is, what does he plan to achieve? And the answer to this question is critical, because what Xi Jinping wants will shape not just China, but the entire world in the foreseeable future. From how we tackle climate change, to how we deal with disputes, to how we carry out global trade, to how we invest in the future of technology, this one man's ambitions will influence everything. So what does he want? Well, Xi Jinping does not provide a clear answer. His policies don't help either. They're as contradictory as it gets. He wants China to have a global presence, but undermines global institutions. He champions globalization, but pursues insular policies. He wants to win people's hearts for China's cause, only to act as a compulsive bully. What does the man really want? Does he want to be feared or loved? For starters, he doesn't want anybody to tell him what to do. Don't preach him about democracy, don't preach him about governance, and don't you dare preach him about human rights. He doesn't like it, not one bit. This was evident in a speech that he made at the centennial celebration of the CCP, where he warned the world that anybody who tries to interfere with China's affairs, and I'm quoting, will have their skulls cracked and blood spilled on the Great Wall of Steel, built from the flesh and blood of 1.4 billion Chinese people. The message is loud and clear. Xi Jinping does not want China to change for others. He wants others to change for China. He doesn't want to fit into a global order where democratic values are upheld. He wants to build an alternative order where autocratic norms are legitimized. Simply put, Xi Jinping does not want China to play a bigger role on the global stage. He wants to change the stage itself, replace the main characters, install China in their place. It's an extraordinary political experiment. It captures his desire for global supremacy, a desire for China to be rich, powerful, and respected, and for him to rule it. Xi Jinping wants to achieve all this in his lifetime. So he's undertaking wide-ranging economic reforms, fostering a patriotic citizenry through propaganda, and ensuring that China bows to no one in world affairs. At the core of these policies is an ancient Chinese belief, a belief that sees China at the center of the universe. You see, in Mandarin, the word for China is Zhongguo, meaning the Middle Kingdom, a kingdom that serves as a link between heaven and earth. And other states are merely vassals of that kingdom, who should come to Beijing bearing tributes. What Xi Jinping wants is for China to return to the Middle Kingdom. He considers himself the chosen one, a savior, a modern-day emperor who would restore China to its glorious past, take his country away from corruption and foreign influence into a new era of prosperity and power. This is his vision. And believe it or not, the space for challenging his vision is shrinking each day.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.